welcome to our podcast, Broker Banter Denver, where we are breaking down barriers to home ownership. I'm your host, Kim Davis, the real estate expert.
And I'm Patrick Williams, the mortgage guy. We're here to inform and educate about the home buying and financing process.
And on today's podcast, we are going to talk about some common frustrations and fears that people have when they buy a house. And then Patrick will give us an update on mortgages.
Interest rates, baby. More interest rate talk.
Or we could talk more sports.
Which Bo Nix was named the starter.
Oh, yay. Woo-hoo.
I'm actually pretty excited about that.
You know what? I actually did watch the...
Did you go to the Green Bay game?
I did not.
Oh.
Who did I send? My nephew
and
his son. And yeah, he looked good. I watched the first quarter. He looked really great. He looks better than the other two.
I mean,
offense.
You know what? We'll
Sorry.
see. It's fine.
Of course, he was playing against second stringers.
Okay, I don't care though. I think
that's what
he's
preseason's for.
I still have low expectations for the season,
right.
But my expectations for long term are like I'm starting. It's scary though because I kind of don't want to have hope.
Well, I always go to season opener because
it's
that's
the day
when you
of
have
the biggest
all the hope.
Everybody is 0-0.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh no, there's all this hope that it can be awesome. You never know.
Honestly, I think
really great.
What if they finish the season like 8-7?
Yeah.
Or wait, is that still 8-7? Now that there's 17 games,
right.
it's or 9 and I don't know. 10
Yeah,
10
I
and
don't
7.
know.
10 and 7.
I think it's good.
9 and 8.
Yeah.
9 and 8. I think I'd be happy with 9 and 8.
Oh my God.
A winning season, that'd be amazing.
And he's a mortgage broker doing that easy math. It's not hard.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I had a little bit of a long night last night. We decided to go to a show at Red Rocks with some friends. Nathaniel Rateliff, who's like a local guy, he's here all the time. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
I get those. That's called menopause.
Well, I think he talks
Or
more about
menopause.
his most famous song is about like detox and like quitting drinking.
Okay.
So anyways, you've never heard of him?
No.
Really?
No.
Local guy, good show. Great show. But we decided to tailgate.
Did you say it was at Red Rocks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to go to, one show a summer at least at Red Rocks. It's just such a great place to be on a summer night.
Twice already?
Yeah, that was our second show. I said at least.
Okay.
I didn't say just one. I said at least one.
At least one. Okay.
But yeah, it was a good show. We took some friends with us and tailgated before. The weather's been a little crazy around here. It's been raining like every day, which is really weird for August. I feel like it's like monsoon season, like early June. It's really strange. But anyways, we're like, it was an epic tailgate. Can I just tell you? Epic.
Like what makes that tailgate
Well, we got there early so we could get into the upper lot so you don't have to walk so far.
Yes. Wow.
Right?
You got there really early.
Yeah, we picked up our friends at like 5:30 and then drove in.
And the show started at
7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think doors opened at 6:30.
Okay. Oh.
But the weather was looking a little sketch. So we brought a tent and we pull in and we literally it was like orchestrated.
Wait. Who brought a tent?
We did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so as soon as we pulled in, we pull into the parking spot, get the tent up, stake down, and literally within 3 minutes, it just starts pouring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It rained really hard, but we were the only ones in the whole parking lot that did not get back in our cars. There were some people that had their hatches. Because we brought a tent.
Yeah.
And we got it up quick. But there were some people who had their hatches open and they were kind of hanging out in the back of their car. Right. But we took my truck. We had a grill. We grilled brie and some Palisade peaches and we had skewers with shrimp and salmon.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, this was an epic tailgate.
I feel a little left out
that
when we tailgate, I never see any of that stuff.
Well, maybe are we doing CU? Are we doing CU CSU?
We are doing CSU.
So we'll have to do another epic tailgate then.
Yeah. Well,
maybe we have two girls going.
Not if I'm in charge. It's a hamburger and hot dogs and a bag of chips.
So here's the thing: these friends that we went with, I think maybe we've talked about them on the podcast before. Chris and Tina, they're great. We love them, and we did a little backpacking trip with them.
Right.
And maybe we talked about that a little bit, how they were kind of bougie on the backpacking trip.
I'm not sure if we talked about it on the podcast.
We might have. They just took a lot of stuff that I was like, those are not essentials on a backpacking trip.
I think it's fine because when I backpacked, I brought a whole bottle of lotion.
Yeah, they weighed 12 pounds. Yeah, that's not how to do it. I'm all about the lightest lightest backpack. Why would you want to carry that stuff in?
Because when you get down there, then you have no luxuries. That's not.
But you don't.
Fun.
But you have to carry those luxuries. So it's like, is this worth having?
Yes.
If I have to carry it in?
Yes.
So no, I'm gonna go no. But they took a lot of stuff, and I was like, wow, like a speaker and like some alcohol to have, which I was very thankful for all of it because I didn't carry it. Right? So it was really nice at the trailhead. But then we realized, like, oh, well, they like to go next level, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, we got to step our game up on this tailgate. So we did, and it was awesome. Show was good. It pretty much quit raining right around 7:30.
I want to know, what did you dip in the Palisade Peach Brie concoction? Like wheat thins?
So we had bread. We grilled a loaf of like an Italian loaf, and then like cooked down the peaches with some hot honey and basil, and then grilled the brie, and then like cut the brie open to where it melted, and then had the peaches and the brie.
You did that, or your wife did that?
My wife, I helped.
What did you do?
I turned the grill on, and I set the tent up. I helped shop.
That's good.
And I cooked the bread on the grill.
Yeah.
Which was, that wasn't the easiest task.
No, you could burn it.
You could.
Or undercook it.
Because those grills, well, it was kind of already, it was just needed to be warmed up, really. Yeah. But it was a pretty epic tailgate. People came by and like, you guys are awesome. Like,
you guys didn't share with other people to make
nobody
friends?
Came into the tent. But because it rained so hard, everybody just kind of scattered to their own car.
Okay. And then did it clear up for the concert?
Yeah. Like it didn't really rain on us at all for the show.
So Red Rocks all GA?
No, we had assigned seats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because most shows you want to be close to the stage.
I saw the machine there. The comedian.
Bert Kreischer. The machine.
He was hilarious.
Bert Kreischer is awesome.
He's pretty funny.
He is funny. He has this video that is one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen. It's all about always being able to have a drink and never becoming like an alcoholic where you can't drink anymore.
Okay.
And then
okay.
And then he talks about, we have bottomless mimosas. Oh, you do.
Oh, yes.
Like it's really a funny
Speaking
video.
Speaking of bottomless mimosas, I think your wife and I and a couple of other girlfriends are going to go do that this weekend.
Oh, really?
She told you? She hasn't told you yet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well,
news to me.
The girls are doing it on Saturday.
Oh, all right.
Boys aren't invited.
That's cool. I'll go for a biker or something. It's all good. Yeah, that sounds like a nice time.
Yeah, well, we might need help. We're going to ride our bikes downtown, and then we may need some help back.
No, that sounds like a terrible idea.
We're thinking,
bikes and bottomless mimosas don't mix.
Bikes there, bottomless mimosas, take the light rail back.
What are you going to do with your bikes? You're going to take them back on the light rail?
Yeah. Can you take your bikes on the light rail? I'm pretty sure you can.
You can? Yeah. Okay.
I don't think any of us, other than Elise, has a nice bike that anyone wants.
I don't know. Fujis are pretty desirable bikes.
Stop it. I have a Scott, which, I mean, I'm happy with it. I've had it for 7-8 years.
It's time for a new bike then.
No, it's not. It's fine.
I like to go.
I'm not the Coloradan that needs a more expensive bike than I do car. I'd rather have a nicer car than a bike.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Whatever works for you.
I'm a 70% or 80% effort.
50%.
I'm 70.
Oh, okay.
A solid 70, 80 max.
80 is your max.
I want to use that 20%.
You got to keep it in reserves, just in case.
Just in case. I just need a finish.
What happens if they extend the ride?
I will make it
an extra couple miles. You got to keep it in the reserves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some of these fears and frustrations. What do you think?
So here are some. How do you want to do it? You want to just go down with the frustrations are? Or you want to talk about each one, or
I think we start with the fears and the frustrations. Where did you? I'm just curious. Is this just from your years of experience and working with so many buyers over the years? Is like these are kind of the themes that you've seen?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of that and some Chat GPT help.
Oh, okay. Chat GPT is awesome, by the way, if you haven't used it. It can do a lot of amazing things.
Sometimes you run out of content doing a podcast and you're wondering,
I haven't run into that.
Talk about?
I haven't run into that yet. But thank you for putting this list together.
So I asked Chat GPT what some of the fears and frustrations are of
I gave you the opportunity to just say this was the list that you came up with.
Yeah, well, I don't want to lie. I'm not a liar.
No,
right?
No, I appreciate your integrity.
And thank Thanks.
Yeah.
But let's start with 10. I don't know. I don't think they're in any specific order.
In no particular order, but we're going to go from 10 up because we've learned our lesson.
It's like we just did, Miss USA. In no particular order.
In no particular
the top
order.
10.
It does have.
Miss Colorado.
It does seem like there's an order. So starting at number 10.
Last time we watched Miss USA.
It's been a really long time.
I know, a long time.
It's been a really long time. So what is the 10th biggest frustration as a buyer? Well, let's start there though.
So inconsistent communication from a real estate professional. Which I would say that is, it can be something like I have a regular, hey, if as far as like a seller, I'm going to contact you every Tuesday because on Monday we're getting feedback from the weekend and we're going to touch base every Tuesday. So some people, want that. Some people are like, hey, Kim, we're good, but at least there's some expectation.
Yeah.
Especially when, they say buying a home is one of the most stressful things that you can do.
Yeah.
That, have a baby, get married. New job. Yeah.
Yep. So, those are at the top of the list. I know a couple of people that like to pile those on together and just kind of do it all at the same time.
A lot of people do get married and move at the same time.
It's crazy. Or have a baby.
And move. Yeah.
And get a new job.
Yeah, and get a new job.
Yeah. If you can make it through that, your marriage is solid.
And I think that goes that people want, they want communication for buying and selling. So buyers you talk to a lot more often than I think sellers, because buyers, especially if they're really in the market, you're talking to them maybe every other day, or you're talking to them on a Thursday, you're showing them Friday, Saturday, and then, take a rest on Sunday, Monday, or write offers usually on those days. And then it kind of, and then the new list comes out for, is how it has been for the past at least decade.
There does seem to be a rhythm, and even when I'm working with buyers, there's a period where I do all what I need to do, get the pre-approval ready, but then they go to you and there might be a lull. I like to just follow up with people. Right. Hey, how's it going? How's the house going?
And then there's a lull kind of on the upside when once we get under contract, they're talking to you a lot. I still see them because we have inspections and appraisals and things, even though appraisal does fit underneath the mortgage, but
it's part of the contract and there's objections that are tied into the contract there.
Well, and I think the desire for the public is that they just want a good transition between selling and buying, whether that's, they're buying and selling or just selling. They just want it not to be stressful, which is why you have a realtor, right?
Yeah, and I think the good thing about setting proper expectations up front, we've talked about that a lot. Right. It really will get these frustrations and fears to subside because we've set those expectations up front. Here's what you can expect of us. Correct. You can expect a phone call from me every Tuesday, right? Whether I have news or not, whatever, right? Like you set those expectations.
Text, email, some sort
depending on their communication preference.
Right, exactly.
It's funny how phone calls work anymore. It's like, what is wrong with you? You didn't even text me and ask me if it's cool to call. I'm like, oh, wow. That's different, right? Yeah. All right. That's number 9.
Okay. Difficulty in coordinating move in and move out.
That can be tough.
Yeah.
I know just from my personal experiences, you handled that transaction for us.
Right.
And we figured out, okay, we decided what stress we wanted. We knew that there was going to be stress, so we decided we didn't want the stress of carrying 2 homes at the same time.
Right.
So we knew that we were going to go with the stress of once we have an offer, then we have a limited amount of time to find our new home.
Correct. Which I think is I think now with the market kind of slowing down, now we're having the opposite where people are taking contingencies, but they're contingencies with, parameters like they have to be under contract in 30 days or 60 days.
Sure.
I actually have a client right now who's buying a new build up north, and we have 60 days, I think, to sell his house, and he's very stressed out about it. So there's definitely a frustration.
Yeah, but working with somebody that knows the market, understands rent backs and the different options that you have available to you can really help kind of put that at ease.
Right. And have someone negotiate that through, right? And think, hey, we probably need a contract in 30 days, or to discuss it between buyer and seller. Once again, open communication, right? These are both kind of communication things.
Yeah. Number 8.
Go for it.
Uncertainty about market conditions.
Ooh, that's a big one.
That is a big one.
And
because the market is shifting. We've been talking about that, right? Like there's more inventory on the market. So really having somebody who's in tune with that.
Right. And I think maybe the fear before with people being uncertain about the market were especially buyers, right? You had to make a decision within hours or minutes from seeing a house that you maybe only saw for 5 minutes, maybe 15, because at the time the showings were
back to back,
and there were tons of people in there. And so you'd see a house and you'd have to be like, hey, I want to buy this house. I've seen it one time, 5 to 15 minutes.
We're going to waive appraisal. We're going to waive inspection.
So, you know, and I think that pressure for a buyer to, hey, do I need to do this? And then also I think now the pressure is different. Now it's like, oh, am I paying too much? Is the interest rate too high? Is this mortgage too high? So I think there's a different kind of fear there.
That's a real fear. And for me, I like to process, I'm an internal processor. I want to absorb as much information as I can, process it. And then, so having that pressure to make that decision that quickly, man, just even talking about it stresses me out a little bit. I gotta be honest.
How long buying a house?
I know, but I'm just saying, I just felt bad during that time, when the market was so crazy for those people having to make those decisions that quickly.
Yes.
And I think looking back on it, I think a lot of people probably have some regret about that decision that they made, right?
Absolutely. But even if they had some regret, they should have equity.
They have a lot. So you know what helps regret?
Equity.
Substantial equity in your home. Yeah.
Some money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 7. So a 7 is hidden fees and costs.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So,
I think that speaks into this NAR, that now we've upped that fear.
I think there's a lot of unknowns out there about the buyer's agreement and who's paying, if the buyers are paying or the sellers are going to pay. And so that probably goes into it. But also, there are a lot of costs associating with buying a home.
Right.
There's a lot of title fees. There's the appraisal. There's just so many different things.
Let's talk about that. It's great. So title fees, which in the state of Colorado, sellers pay title insurance for the buyer. It's really weird. Buyers still pay title insurance, but they pay title insurance for the lender. In most other states, it's not that way.
Yeah.
So then when we get people from Texas or I think California,
which is an escrow state,
we or the surrounding states, they find that odd when selling a house that sellers pay title costs. That is how we do it in Colorado. Of course, that is a negotiable tactic,
but it's pretty standard practice.
I'll tell you what. When we were having multiple bidding offers, that was something that people would put in there that they would pay for title. So in Colorado, it can be absolutely negotiable. Everything's negotiable.
Everything is negotiable. Right. But I think knowing up front, and I feel like that's a big part of what I try to help with, is even before, during that pre-approval stage, I'm going over, here are all the fees.
Yes.
Here's what you can expect. Here's a fee sheet so you can take a look at it. Look at your, the rate as of today. We don't lock until you have a property, but here's what you can expect.
Right. And I do the same thing for the selling, right? I'm the listing side. I do the same thing because if you've never listed a house, then you don't know there are fees. So other than commissions, which I just had a listing appointment yesterday, we'll see. Hopefully I will get it. It was a referral, but they did say they were going to interview other agents. But I went into very big detail about commissions, even though they've always been negotiable. But since it's a big thing right now.
It's top of mind right now with all of the NAR stuff that's happening. It's in the news a lot, especially with it going into effect on the 17th. So, no, I think it does. For me, when I have fear and anxiety or frustration.
You just need answers.
Or action usually, and that starts to help subside, right?
Absolutely.
So no, definitely knowing who you're going with, what to expect. It seems like, I'm seeing a trend here a little bit with some of these. It's a lot of communications,
right? Why don't you do 6?
6, difficulty in getting financing. I see why you asked me to do that one. Yeah. Well, you know what?
I'll tell you what, my number one fear is I always think I'm never going to get approved. And in the business, I do this, so I understand that fear. I know about debt to income and where you need to be. And I still am like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I think it goes to say just how complicated the mortgage,
right,
process is.
Fear of rejection. I could have some,
That could be. That could be. Those are different issues. You might need to talk to somebody else about that. I don't feel like I'm qualified.
No, but go ahead. Yes.
But difficulty in getting financing. Yes. I think here's where I think this frustration or fear should be put to rest. The worst thing that I will say to you is not yet. Yes. Like I typically we did this funny little video at our office, and it says "no" is a curse word in the lyrics of the song that we sang, because we don't ever want to say no to somebody.
Right.
Not yet is typically what I will say, and what we do is we're going to work on X and Y,
right? And
then in 6 months, then maybe we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Instead of no, hey, not yet is not bad, because usually you just have to, fix a few things, pay something off.
Some things take longer than other things. It's not always right away. Right. But wouldn't you rather know what to start working on? Right. And my thing is, like, the sooner you start working on
the sooner you can buy.
Yeah. So
and achieve that American dream.
Exactly.
Right?
And so I do think, it's like that big pile of laundry that you don't want to address and you try to just block it out. Like, have the conversation. Let's take a look at it, and then we can kind of figure out what we need to do as next steps.
It's not.
I think I'm a fairly nice guy.
Yeah, it is scary, but
it is
scary for different reasons. Not scary because, hey, but at least hey, in a year, in 3 months, in 6 months,
right.
Or I just need to do these action steps.
Yeah.
And,
well, we create a game plan. We could, hey, let's start putting this amount of money away a month. Let's, let's start paying these debts down. Yeah. Let's start working on whatever. You just need to be at your job a little longer.
Exactly.
It's not a no. It's not going to be a no. It's going to be not yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Number 5.
Slow response time from agents or sellers. Oh, that is the worst.
There is nothing worse than working with somebody who is slow or non-responsive.
Right.
I think you and I take pride in the fact that we respond very quickly. We are always available. It's just something that not everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think especially, where I think consumers, buyers, and sellers get frustrated is, hey, as a buyer, you're so excited, right? You found a house, you put an offer in, you're like, oh, I want, and then you have to wait maybe 24 hours.
Yeah.
Usually, it's obviously negotiable in the contract,
sure.
but for an answer, and then, that 24 hours for a buyer is horrible.
It's agonizing.
Right. And then, of course, the seller's like, oh, let's see if I can drum up other offers. Let's see if this is really,
What do you think about the seller's agents who, maybe the house goes on the market, it's coming soon Thursday, it goes on the market Friday.
Yeah.
But they wait until Monday.
I would tell you that I'm okay with it because, I do both sides.
Yeah.
You are trying to do what's best for the seller. And as a seller's agent, you work for the seller. So you're looking out for the best, best case for the seller. Now, that's why you need a realtor, right? Because the realtor should have some tricks up their sleeves or know, possibly even know that realtor that can, help or, just talk. I'll tell you what, when we had multiple offers, something that was a very big deal, who you work with.
Yeah.
Because if you are working with someone who's non-responsive, or have done deals in the past and maybe didn't go so well. I mean, it does end up when you have the exact same offer, the exact same, and
you're like, I've worked with this person. I trust them. I know they're going to be quick response.
The goal for both buyers and sellers is to get you guys to the closing table so that, the sellers can move on and the buyer can have the house that they want.
Right.
And so, you just,
that's
the goal for everybody.
That's right.
Yeah. But slow response times. I don't know what to say about that. There's really...
If you are working with somebody who doesn't respond, give us a call.
Yeah. And you know what? I just start calling people on different phone numbers. It works. I'm like, hey, Jamie, give me your phone. I need to make a phone call.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's because they started blocking your number. Number 4, misleading property listings.
Yeah, so interesting frustration. I think that this might have been a bigger issue back when some of those big name, let's just say Zillow, used to be, they
not to name names.
Yeah, well, we might as well. They're big enough. They're not
fine.
even going to listen to
They're
this.
fine.
But they used to, they're a technology company. So they were based on clicks. Like they were selling advertising. Like, hey, so if you click on this listing and it could have been 1 year, 2 years expired, been sold, and they didn't update it. I would tell you that that's not really the case anymore. They have become so much better. Their technology is better.
Yeah, we don't see that
and
as
so you
much
don't
anymore.
see, but where you can maybe see it is, Craigslist for sure. That's
Are
big.
people listing their houses on Craigslist?
Yes,
Is Craigslist still a thing?
Craigslist is still a thing. Don't use Craigslist.
Craigslist was scary years ago. What is it like now?
Yeah,
I thought it was just like Facebook
so
Marketplace.
Actually, the only reason why I know is because some listings will fall under Craigslist, and it's usually people trying to scam you, saying, "Hey, this is for rent," and they put it on Craigslist, and then
I would be very, very careful. I would just not do anything on Craigslist. Would be my advice on that one.
I wouldn't either. There's so many more reputable sites. I mean, go to remax.com, realtor.com.
Yeah. Redfin is a good one.
I mean,
there's a lot of them out there.
Competition for Remax, but sure.
Sorry, my bad. Remax professionals.
That's right.
The one thing I thought was really funny when we were looking for a house, I felt like all the houses that we would look at, they say backs to open space. And then we would get there and we're like, that's not open space. That's the rec center parking lot.
That's what I was about to say. Or misleading property listing. Maybe they're not talking about the sales, but what it says. Like, it's a 5-bedroom.
Right.
4-bath, but really 2 of them are like.
Or it says 5,000 square feet and like 1,800 of it is unfinished basement.
Right.
No, this is actually 3,200 square feet, not 5,000.
Now, I have to admit that I've had a typo before in a listing, so sometimes it can be an honest mistake, but it is very frustrating as a buyer and as a buyer's agent to walk through a house. And
you're like, I wouldn't have come to even look at this place.
Mountain views, and it's like upstairs, and there's like a sliver between 2 houses. And I mean,
it's a mountain. You can see the mountains.
It is a mountain view,
you can see
but it's not probably what you're looking for. So is that misleading? Probably
a little bit.
Yeah.
High competition with other buyers. Number 3.
I think we kind of talked about this a little bit.
I think we did.
Yeah. I think that definitely is not the market that we're in now. So you want to buy now.
Well, you may be seeing it come though.
Yeah, let's hope.
I think as rates continue to come down, it's going to get more competitive. So if that's something that you don't want to deal with, we're going to continue to preach this, maybe to the choir at this point. Yes. But get in the market now.
Get in the market now.
Yeah, and I think we have maybe on our next podcast.
Yes.
We're going to we've talked about date the rate and marry the house. Right. Right. Yes. Date the rate, marry the house.
Oh my gosh, it's your saying. How'd you forget?
You know what? I was late. But we're gonna break that.
This is what alcohol does to you.
I didn't drink that much. We're going to break that down a little
We're going to break that down. I think we got a request from one of our listeners that says, can we really explain what date the rate?
Help us see the black and white numbers. Of the benefit of getting into the market now compared to wait until the rates come down. And we're going to break that down.
Yeah, we're going to break it down.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think so too. So to see what the cost of waiting is versus what you pay if it really is true, date the rate. So listen.
Let's break that down. I think that sounds like
next week.
If you're interested, tune into our next podcast.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Number 2, I'll take this one. Complicated paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork. There's probably, I don't know that there's anything that you will ever do in your life. Maybe setting up a trust, but there's a lot of paperwork.
On both sides, on both the mortgage side and the real estate side.
Yeah, and I would say probably my side is a little more.
I think your side is more frustrating because my side is a lot of disclosures. Like, hey, this is what mold is. Hey, this is what radon is. We have a lot of that too, though. And you have a lot of. I need your last 6 months of bank statements. It's not 6, it's like 3 months.
2.
But
usually.
Okay, 2. 2 months of bank statements, your firstborn.
Okay, come on. No we don't ask for your firstborn, just blood. No.
What's your blood type?
No, usually, you know what? For a standard person who is applying for a mortgage,
Right.
what I'm going to ask for them is their most recent W-2, a pay stub, maybe a copy of their driver's license, and a couple months of bank statements.
Oh.
That's typically for the typical
great.
buyer.
That's great.
Yeah,
A
so it's
W-2
not
buyer.
the complicated paperwork side. Like, I feel like that's not that complicated.
That's not complicated.
It is a little different,
Right.
like my industry, because I have to ask so much of my customer, right? I
Right.
need so much from you. But what is complicated is the amount of disclosures and the closing docs and all of that. There is
Yes.
I mean, this if you print it off and stack it up, I mean, it's a stack
Right.
that can be pretty thick.
And let's just say that you need to know where all the money is coming from, basically, especially that's why you're asking for that, right? If you are
do.
a W-2 employee, they want to know that, you didn't just borrow money from, your $1 million aunt that's a loan and that there's some hidden loan out there, or that
There's a term that we use called mattress money.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh.
funds that we can't use. If you're
Right.
wanting to buy a home and you have, $100,000 in your mattress, that's
Right.
not going to be acceptable funds for closing.
Actually, really quick. I had a client who had received a whole bunch of gold coins, his mom, I guess. And so
Okay.
he was buying a house and he cashed in those gold coins. Well, they had to go back to all those coin places and get an actual receipt.
Bill of sale, how much
Yes,
those coins were
because
each worth,
they
all of
needed
that.
to
Yep. So we
trace-
can use
trace
the
it.
sale of personal assets,
Right.
but there's a lot that goes with it. Bill of sale, value, showing the ownership
So
of
let's
the...
just say if you don't have the money in your bank account, 6 months prior, maybe a few months
At
prior,
least
3 months
three.
prior,
Yes.
then they're going to have to trace it. So if you
that's-
want less paperwork, then just have the money in your account seasoned, as they say.
Seasoned funds are wonderful, and if you don't know what that means, give me a call and we can talk about it.
Okay, and then the number one is that lack of transparency in the process. And I think that, once again, not in any particular order, don't know if that's the top frustration, but definitely something that's, once again, communication, right?
I think a lot of these are communication, and
Oh,
a lot of
absolutely.
these frustrations can be overcome with the setting of proper expectations and good communication. It's hard though. Communication's not an easy thing. It's a skill that needs to be learned to
Yes.
clearly communicate to people, and I think that's something with the years of experience
And
that
I
we
think
have.
that, lack of transparency can be in anything, right? How much it costs, especially with first-time homebuyers. We have learned, like, you need to tell them, like, hey, this is what you need for a down payment, but you also need money for an inspection.
Earnest money.
And
You got to be
earnest
ready
money.
to put
And,
earnest
like,
money
this
down.
is the cash that you need up front. And so I think that maybe that's not lack of transparency. Sometimes it can be fault of the realtor or mortgage person being in this industry so often that maybe it's and the whole reason why we started this podcast, right?
Is
more
really to have
communication.
more transparency
Yes.
and help people understand the process better. I think for me, I really try to pride myself on being transparent and making sure people understand
Right.
what they're getting into before they get into it, and what that's going to look like as
Right.
we go through the process. So
So maybe we can do some more fears some other time, but those are mostly, those are fears and frustrations.
yeah, I think we kind of went through. We can go through fears as well, but I think they kind of tie together.
They kind of tie together.
Yeah.
I think they basically say the same thing. And
So interest rates. Should we
Yeah,
talk about interest
we
rates?
should.
Okay. So thankfully, the market has kind of stabilized. It was really, really volatile there for a while. We've had some news come out in the last day, which is really interesting. The Labor Department has revised figures for
weird.
jobs. They do it all the time.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they come out with these numbers, and then it's like, oh, all these jobs. And then the next month they're like, actually, it wasn't that many. It was 100,000 less than what we said. But what they've done is they've gone back well over a year and revised jobs down by almost 850,000 jobs.
Missing
From the market that are not actually there.
Which would actually make sense, because I'll tell you what, I know a lot of friends and clients who have been getting laid off, and I'm talking like higher end
Us too.
management, like
CFO type of jobs.
CTOs, yeah.
And I think because we are starting to feel the ramifications of the higher interest rates. This is what the Fed has wanted to do. And so we're starting to, I don't know that we're going into a recession. I don't want to say that, but I do think the tighter policies that we've been dealing with, mortgage and real estate more so early, we're kind of early. Like, I feel like we're starting to come out of it, but I do feel like a lot of the rest of the economy is kind of just starting to feel that.
Jobs.
Yeah. So those revisions made a big deal. That was a big deal.
Okay.
So bonds obviously reacted friendly to that news, because bad news sometimes is good news for bonds, unfortunately. But not crazy. We're stuck. The 10 years right around 385 right now. So we've been kind of at that level.
Right.
I think we're waiting to hear, like, the Fed minutes came out. Nothing really came out that was shocking there. They're going to Jackson Hole tomorrow for the Fed symposium. So we're hoping to maybe hear is a part
Instead
of that.
Waiting until September, maybe
they'll give us an indication that they are ready to cut rates.
You don't think that they can be like, hey, let's cut rates and let's hope that it's the half point versus a quarter point. They keep going back
half
and forth,
point is
right?
the half point is almost off the table at this point. It seems like,
for sure.
Yeah.
No, are you sure?
I mean, it's not 100% sure.
Right.
No, but the chances of a 50 basis point cut in September are pretty low.
Oh, that's a bummer.
We're still expecting a quarter, and then hopefully one other probably cut in December that will give us a half a point through the end of the year.
Do you think that election years usually? Aren't they interest rates like
usually the trend says that as we get closer to the election, interest rates will go down. Yeah,
which that's just a show. But
we're not a politic.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk politics at all. But you know what? We are seeing rates come down. We're starting to see rates on the lower ends of sixes, and FHA and VA high fives.
Yeah. And hey, you can buy down maybe just a point or two and be in the fives. So
you can maybe get the seller to pay a point for you.
Yes.
Right?
There's a great negotiation tool which we use. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are seeing those lower rates. And to be honest with you, I'm feeling it in the market already. I've got some buyers coming in that have been sitting on the sidelines that are saying, okay, I think it's time.
So what you're saying is pretty much the same kind of it's
you know what? We're out of that crazy volatility that we were in for those couple weeks. It was just all over the map. Things have steadied, but where they've steadied is at a good place right now. Good. Yeah. So we're still under that 4% mark, which is really, really good.
Come on, fall market.
Here we go, baby. I'm excited. It's feeling good. If you're interested, let us know. I do think it's a really good time to get into the market.
Well, it's never a bad time.
Never a bad time.
It's better than one. What do you always say?
What's the interest rate on
interest
rent?
rate of rent? 100%.
100%.
On that note,
if you have found this podcast useful, maybe entertaining, enlightening, please give us a share, give us a like. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes.
See you next week. Thanks.